All right, now before we get going, Emma, have you got any questions, buddy, before we kick it off?
No, I think I did my homework properly. I noted all the
Nice.
sections. I've got my quotes. I got my thoughts.
Not like that
I
Philip
don't
J.
have my
Woodward.
notes. My notes all disappeared, so I'm winging this. So
Nice.
it's
Okay.
fantastic. I took them all
No,
before we
Al.
started.
No.
Unofficial, unofficial. It's definitely not official. Official, unofficial. It's guess.
Hello and welcome to the Unofficial New Girl in Review. My name is Ben at Please Be Excited. With me we have some amazing guests, or an amazing guest and some amazing co-hosts, which we're going to go through soon. Today we're going to be talking about episode 19, Secrets. Okay? And before we kick off, today is going to be a good one. I've got a great feeling about today's episode. Like I said, we've got some very cool people on today, one of which is in the top left-hand corner. He's got a kitty. It's Al Tribesman.
Hello. How's it going, Ben?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to this one.
Oh, it's going to be awesome, buddy. All right, and in the top right-hand corner, we have the one, the only. Who's that girl? It's Erica.
What's up?
How you doing, Erica?
I'm super. How are you?
Why does my voice go really high when I introduce you every single time?
I don't know.
It's so strange. I just realized that now. And for the first time ever on the OU pod, it is Emmett.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on the show.
I'm looking forward to this.
I'm so excited. Now, Emmett, before we kick off, we normally do this at the end, but I think it's always good to do it at the start too. Where can people find you?
You can find me on the Pokey Ramble podcast every Sunday evening on twitch.tv/KamalH. That's what I do.
Nice. And it's always a good time. Definitely check that out. All right. Well, as we're talking about today, we will be discussing episode 19, Secrets, aired 3rd of April 2012. Now, this one is written by Josh Malmuth, also one of the runners that we see in the episode that needs to pee towards the end of the episode. So you might have noticed that they sort of run past Jess and Cece. So it's a cool wee cameo there. Directed by David Wayne, which you may know from Wet Hot American Summer, incredible movie. We've got Role Models, Bob's Burgers, American Dad, and probably more recently Superstore. I don't know if you guys have checked out Superstore, but it's kind of a fun time. So
I'm a fan of Superstore. I brought it up
great,
the other
right?
time when I was hosting an episode where one of the writers of Superstore wrote it. Yeah, it's a fun show.
I don't think I'd actually seen it at that point, but I think I'm about like 3 seasons in. If you like New Girl, I think it's probably right up your alley. It's pretty good. Yeah. All right, now that's pretty much it for the bits and pieces. Not a lot of fun facts other than, like I say, we get that cameo from Josh, which is cool. So we might just head straight into the recap. All right. So let's just set the scene here. So Jess arrives at Cece's apartment, all pumped up after listening to Diane Keegan's autobiography. Of course she does. That's how she gets psyched when she goes for a run. She's ready to run, but unfortunately Cece forgot and can't run because Marsha accidentally ate a cookie because she fell on it and was devastated. But really, it's obviously because Schmidt was hiding in the couch after a vigorous night of making Schmitty with Cece. Okay. Winston shares a secret, obviously, about Schmidt and Cece with Nick, and Nick tells Jess, and probably possibly one of the greatest ways with the back sweat. That was great.
So gross.
Jess is up. It's so gross, but so hilarious.
I have that written down as one of my lines. I'm sorry.
Especially Schmidt just walking in. It's like, let me feel your back.
Jacques Miller. Jacques.
Yeah.
So good. Jess is upset Cece didn't tell her, obviously, when it started, and that puts a bit of a strain on their friendship throughout the episode. Nick's dating younger women and asks Schmidt for help to handle it and help him to become a bit more of a douche. Jess walks in on Nick and Schmidt in bed, wondering what's happening, which is a great moment. The apartment secrets get revealed. Jess and Cece run the 10K. Jess finds out that Cece likes Schmidt, and Nick masters becoming a douchebag by the end of the episode. So, the end. So, first off, to kick us off, a very special guest, Emmett. What did you think of this episode?
It's a really fun handling of the big secret. It's a lot of fun to watch Jess run around in circles around Cece, and I think after all of the tension of them trying to keep it from her, I like that she's mad. I like
Yeah.
that she cares enough about her relationship with Cece that she's annoyed about the fact they kept the secret, and I like that it plays out in a very funny way.
Absolutely. When you said running around in circles, my mind immediately went her running into that truck. So good. So good. Oh, that's great. And Erica, what do you think of this episode?
I love this episode because it feels very honest. They find out this huge secret. Nick can't keep a secret for anything, and Winston literally like in his face, like, I can't keep it. I can't hold on to this anymore. You have to listen to me. And then Nick just spilling the beans right away to Jess because he can't hold it in is hilarious. And then
It was
Jess's
so quick.
reaction.
So
Jess's
quick.
reaction is so pure and just again like she, as we find out through the episode, she doesn't keep anything from Cece, and Cece keeps a ton of things from her because, as Cece says, I do dumb things, and this to her is something stupid until she kind of has that moment later in the episode where she's like, oh yeah, I guess maybe I do like Schmidt, which is really eye-opening for her. And I love that part at the end where they're in the kitchen they're cooking and Schmidt's like trying to get her to cut that. I don't even know what she's cutting up, but she's doing it not right. And Jess is like, oh look, they're so cute. And Schmidt's like, yeah, look at her thinking we're a cute couple. And Cece gets real uncomfortable and it's hilarious. But there's a lot of honesty in this episode, but they do it and they handle it in such a fun way. And it's great. I do love this episode.
Nice. And Mr. Tribesman, what do you think, buddy?
We always talk about how the B storyline always misses. This, I think, is the perfect example of both storylines being very solid, just working well together. Even though like the A storyline is like an overarching thing throughout the season and it involves the characters finding out the secret, just the B storyline is just strong enough to keep that momentum going, I think. And it's just flipped on its head with Nick seeking douchebaggery advice from Schmidt. I love it. I like this one. It's we're getting into the better episodes for sure. Now later into this first season.
Absolutely. And especially now that we're getting to know these characters a bit more and they're a little bit more well developed now. I think that definitely helps as well. Nice. So my thoughts on the episode here, I think I'm pretty much in the same vein as all of you, actually. I thought it was a relatively strong episode. I thought there's some great moments, some great acting all in all. And I really like the way they handled particular situations. Like, so just kind of piecing it together at the end that, hey, look, Cece does actually have feelings for Schmidt, because who on earth would wear that t-shirt? And why would Cece let him wear that embarrassing t-shirt?
Great.
I just love how she just
So
pieced
great.
that together and actually knew before even Cece did that she had feelings for him. So I thought that was kind of a nice sort of sweet moment. And yeah, obviously the hilarious moments with just Schmidt teaching them how to be like them was just so good. So no, I really, really enjoyed it. Actually, it was a good time. Speaking of Schmidt, let's head straight into the douchebag jar. So I think we might kick it off with you, Al. We might go in reverse order this time. So Al, what lines have you got for Schmidt and the douchebag jar?
I'll go in reverse too and start from the later one in the episode. I love "Be careful with that knife. It's from Japan." I don't know. That's a douchebag thing, I think, to have a special knife that's from Japan. And that was so good. My pants just got tight, Nick, is what he says.
That's a great line.
I have a bunch more. Yeah, those are my two for now. If nobody mentions the rest, then I'll bring those up.
Nice. All good. And Emmett, what have you got on your list there, buddy?
I think in a similar vein to the knife, when he says, when Jess reveals that Nick had been using the blanket, and Schmidt just goes, "That is a microfiber blend from Pakistan, you heathen."
It's such a good line.
Yo.
Look at that too.
100%.
So good.
And I think the other one, when Jess and Cece start getting confrontational in the apartment, and he just walks up to them and goes, "Ladies, let's not do this. At least not with our shirts on."
Yeah.
So bad.
You can always count on Schmidt to be a douche, even in the worst of moments. Honestly, like his mind has to go there, no matter what's going on.
Absolutely.
His sort of pride in the fact that this whole situation is about his intimacy with Cece. I think he's just like, his smugness is what makes his performance in this episode. Every
Mhm.
opportunity, he's like, guys, let's congratulate me.
Oh, he's loving it this episode, eh? He's
Yes.
loving
Yeah.
being that teacher. And Erica, what have you got on your list?
I had the line about the microfiber blend from Pakistan also, because that was just the most hilarious. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, and I just loved that Nick was like, "You sound like the catalog weirdo." It was just fantastic. But also just a moment that he had, like, after Jess kind of gets done scolding them and he goes to kind of cuddle up next to Cece and she's just like, "Get off me." And that moment was hilarious, just because, he's kind of like, I'm going to keep trying to push in this moment, just because he knows that he has everything he wants right now. And he's just like, "Oh," and she's like, "No, not right now." I just thought that was a great moment.
Nice. I love it. On my list here, what have we got here? We've got, okay, this is probably, we have to put it on there because it's so douchey and it's so inappropriate. The I'm having Indian every night is so inappropriate. It's so bad. So bad. We've got the line, "I'm a quiet breather. I learned that as a kid playing Who Passed Out with my mum. My mum always won." Just a little bit of insight into the childhood of one Schmidt. So the other two lines that I had. Do you think we can pick an overall winner? Is it the knife? Is it the microfiber? What are we thinking?
It's got to be one of
Both.
those two.
Yeah, both are very similar and very like easily douchebaggy
Yeah,
things to
I
say.
think, do we join them together?
Yeah, we can do that.
Nice.
2 lines.
That's the winner this week. All right, so for our next segment, we're going to talk about Winston. What's up, Winston?
There it
I'm
is.
not happy with that take. Hold on. What's up, Winston? No, it's getting worse. Okay, but that's all right. All right, so let's kick it off with Erica this time. Erica, what have you got on Winston's list?
All right. I love Winston so much in this episode. Like I talked about it the last episode, that this is when he finally starts, really coming into his character. And this episode, I feel, is where it really starts to kick off. He has a moment in this episode that is brilliant. And it's when everyone's arguing in the apartment. You got the 2 girls there on the floor arguing over this scarf. Everyone's freaking out. And I just have it down as the return of Theodore K. Mullins.
Yes.
And that's that whole part. Just that entire monologue. It is hilarious. It's great. "Dear Lord, help me, Father. Get out of my house. Get out of my house." Also, I just let's see. "Saturdays are for sleeping." Perfect line. Saturdays, yeah. That entire part is fantastic. I love Winston in this episode, but that is my Winston moment. That entire thing. That's mine.
Nice, love it. And Emmett, what have you got on your list? And what did you think of Winston this week, buddy?
I think Erica hits the point perfectly. Like, this is the moment where you see Winston as he's not the crazy guy in the apartment. He is on the higher level. He knows what he's doing, but he just does it in such a hilarious way. And it's so great to watch that moment when he goes, "Who am I? Who am I? I am Theodore K. Mullins." Like, it's perfect. And
So
just
good.
watching everyone else's reaction, see him as this like lunatic for the first time, but he's the one in control. Like, they all do what he says. They all sit on the ground. It's a very special moment, and it's hard to beat that. But he does have a great moment when he's talking about raccoon hands, which is a more embarrassing moment for Jess, which made me giggle when he's talking about having a private moment where he's thinking about Jess, but picturing her with raccoon hands, digging through the garbage.
That's so good.
Love it.
He's just wonderfully weird in this episode.
He really is.
Yeah,
And
well,
that's why
it's definitely the start of things to come, isn't it? Hopefully, I think for that character, it's really good.
with the part about like the after part of the whole Theodore came on saying, he goes, you're sweating so much it looks like rain. And you're peaking, man. You're at the prime of your life. That's actually Cece, get rid of the motorcycle and just don't act like you haven't thought about us too when you're going solo. Okay, I don't work a 9 to 5. I'm here all day. I can hear you. Now go away because I'm having cereal. And it was just, yeah.
I've got that on mine. Now go away because I'm
Mhm.
having cereal. It's so good. Such a great way to end that.
So great. That whole part is fantastic.
And Al, what have you got on your list, buddy?
All the ones that have been mentioned, of course, but I love this one. This hasn't been mentioned. When Nick is asking Schmidt to teach him how to be a douchebag, Winston just goes, "What's happening in the world?" To me, that's a funny one.
I like that line.
But
He's
yeah.
like, he's not even using a whiteboard. Then you see Schmidt just like
Just go.
writing in cursive in the
Mr.
air.
But definitely Theodore K. Mullins is my favorite
That's
moment.
your winner.
The
Nice.
return, yeah.
I can get down with that. I can do that. I think for me, I've got pretty much everything on there, but I think we do need to give, like Emmett said, real credit to the raccoon hands. So I'm going to go through the dialogue because just to remind us how good that was. So Nick says, Winston, you told me the first week you got back from Lafayette, you had a sex dream about Jess and she had raccoon hands. Schmidt, so what did they look like? What did the raccoon's hands look like? Winston, oh man, they were digging through the garbage. It's just so good and so wacky. I love it so much.
Also, just in the post-credit scene, and this one is when he's talking to Cece or while they're rolling credits, and I just like, are you working for the government? Damn it, he's holding you against your will, isn't he? If he's holding you against your will, blink twice, and he starts blowing in her eyes. And he goes, are you tired of being turned on? You have a mole fetish. Is it huge? I'm sorry. And then he clears his throat and goes, let me rephrase that. Is it huge? And that was just, yeah. And that's how they end the episode. And it's great. And she just gets up and walks away. It's fantastic. Yeah,
I
Winston
love it.
killed it in this episode. I love it so much.
Great episode there from him. And I think so. It sounds like we're all in agreement with the Theodore K. Mullins for the.
Theodore K.
I think
Mullins.
it has to be, yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely.
We all agree. That's great. That's great.
Heck
We always
yeah.
agree on this show.
Always.
There's never
Always.
any conflict. All right. Now let's head over to Nick's tips. All right. So first up, who are we gonna go with? Let me have a look. Emmett, I'd love to know what you thought of Nick this episode and what great tips we've got from Nick. Just any fun lines, any fun tips that you might have had throughout this episode.
He's a sort of beeline story is a very strange one for Nick because he's normally he's the romantic, and we see a very different side of him over, I guess, the last episode and this one, where he's experiencing new things, he's trying new things. But probably my favorite moment is when he gets the back sweat and he's trying to crying out to Winston saying, "Don't tell me." Even thinking about a secret turns my back into a slip and slide. And there's that perfect moment when Jess walks into the apartment and immediately she knows that Nick's lying about something, and she just literally puts her head around his back and looks at that horrible wet patch, and she knows.
Gross.
It's a great moment between the two of them.
Love it. And anything else on your list that you want to talk about?
There's another moment where obviously he's asking Schmidt to teach him how to be a douchebag, and he says the line, "Schmidt, I hate saying this, but I might actually respect you." And it's just that moment where Schmidt goes from being the guy with the douchebag jar to having a bit of power over Nick. I love that he's got the desperation to turn to Schmidt in his time of need to sustain his philanthropy.
Love it.
Great.
And Al, what have you got on your list, buddy? What do you think of Nick?
I have the ones that you mentioned, and to add to Emmett's line about respecting Schmidt, he starts that off with saying he's better than us at this, Winston, and I hate it as much as you do. And Schmidt, I hate saying this, but I might respect you. Yeah, that's definitely my favorite out of the Nick's tips.
Nice. That's all good. And Eric, what do you got on your list there?
I have a line that nobody's mentioned yet, which is my favorite, and it's when Jess is all bundled up in the kitchen, and Nick comes out and goes, "Hey, could you guys keep it down? I have a lady visitor." And Jess says, "Hi, Nick." And then Nick goes, "Oh, I get it. It's actually kind of a fantasy of mine. Can you say the following words out loud? The ice roads are too dangerous. You're going to have to turn back, Chief." And that, I don't know why, hit me just, and I was laughing so hard. I was crying, and it's fantastic. And that's going to be my Nick moment this week. So yeah,
Love it.
I've got nothing
Love it.
better. It's fantastic. That's just, why? I don't know. It's great.
Alrighty, now strap in because I've got a lot. Okay. I can't believe some of these didn't make the lists here, but hey, you know what? Let's just go through here. So first off, just Nick kind of talking to himself at one point, just about, for what it's worth, I think what I did was really brave in reference to obviously spilling the beans to Jess when he was just such a coward.
No,
and
that was
just-
good.
He folded so quickly. We've got the whole, and this is Schmidt. Hey, what happened to your phone, Nick? Jesus took it. A Jesus hawk on a speedboat. The environment, bears,
Yes.
magic family. I need your help, Schmidt. So good.
I
Just
had
the
that one
whole-
written down, but I lost it.
Oh. Just the whole fact that we get that whole thing throughout that through line throughout the episode where Nick just can't lie. And we get the other one, it's like when that person's talking to him, it's like, no, it's a bear. There's a magical bear in there. That's all it is. A magic bear. Just stop. Oh, and then we find out another fun fact about Nick here. We find out that puns are really creepy and freak me out. And you know that
Yes.
Yes.
the one big difference between me and Nick there is that I love puns. So
Puns are the best.
they are the best. So yeah, I thought it was a pretty strong episode for Nick. Really enjoyed, like Al said, the B storyline, which normally falls very flat for me personally in a lot of episodes. But this one here I thought was actually a pretty entertaining ride actually throughout. So I thought it was really good. So what do we want to make our next tip this week, or are we just happy with just Nick in general?
I just love Nick this episode. He's fantastic. And you actually picked up a couple of ones that I totally forgot about in my list that magically disappeared. So yeah. I'm going to blame that Jesus hawk. Yeah.
Just gets so sweaty and just so it's so good. So good. What about you, Al and Emmett? Emmett, have you got any particular line you'd like to see win, or do you think you're just happy with Nick's lines in general?
His lines in general are great. I do like them at the moment when he comes into the kitchen and talks to Jess in the face mask. He just shows no sympathy. He's just straight away.
It's so
He's ready
great.
with the douchebag comment. He's learning.
Yeah.
So that's a particular highlight for me. But yeah, all through the episode, he's phenomenal.
Nice. Love it. And you all good with that, Al? If we just do...
Yep, I totally agree. Everything Nick says in this one is fantastic.
Nick wins this week.
Nice. Love it. All right. So let's talk about Jess. There's some great moments from Jess here. I want to kick it off with you, Erica. I want to know what you thought of Jess this episode. Have you got any particularly fun moments?
Jess is fantastic. So whenever she's talking to Cece and Schmidt about how long this has been going on, and Schmidt, and I can't believe I totally forgot about this one, when he goes 1:03 a.m. February 15th, right on schedule. Totally forgot about that line, and it's fantastic. And then Cece just goes 2 months ago. But Jess replies with 2 months, 2 moons have passed since you started doing it. Just go, 2 moons have passed. I thought it was fantastic. And then when her referencing Diane Keaton, she actually references her twice. The first time is, "Are you ready to run? I have my playlist already." Actually, it's Diane Keaton's autobiography, and she just filmed First Wives Club, and it's getting me pumped. I mean, I've seen that movie, and it's not something that would get me pumped, I don't think. But hey, it's Jess, and it's cool.
That's a movie,
It's a movie. It's definitely a movie, that's for sure.
There's definitely a beginning, a middle, and an end,
Yeah, not one I think we'll be reviewing anytime soon, which is
No.
good. So
Please no.
please no request. And I like this when we have these flashbacks of her and Cece throughout the years. First off, I love their different styles throughout the years. They're fantastic. especially when they're discussing this one. That's what second base means. Then I'm not a virgin anymore. Would love to know exactly what they're talking about, but that's the line, and it was hilarious. And I mean, Jess has just so many different ones throughout the episode, but those are going to be some of my favorites. So I'm going to listen to what the rest of you guys have to think.
Nice. All right. So what do you think, Emma? What did you think of Jess this episode?
I think one of my favorite moments is when she's limbering up, getting ready for the run, and she says to Cece, "I'm limbering up in case I want to have sex with any one of your roommates."
Yep.
And follows it up with, "I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Diane Keaton talking about her rich life full of loyal friends," and then just runs into a moving truck.
It's so great. I love it.
Oh, that's so good.
And then towards the end, when she catches Cece in the fridge and she goes, "Do not drink my almond milk when you spent the whole night drinking Schmidt."
That's so gross.
I think it's a wonderful line. But one of my, like, the kind of, not a funny moment, but like one of the moments that I really appreciate that Jess has in the episode is when she's looking at Schmidt and Cece in the kitchen. It's the first time, and it's because she's saying the things she's saying, that you see Schmidt and Cece as a couple and you want them to succeed. Like, for me, that's a real moment, for one of the first times in the season where I see them more as just being casual. And obviously we get that real moment because Jess is so invested in, and she kind of helps guide us towards that end goal, which is a really special moment, I think.
Definitely agree.
That's awesome. And Al, what about you, buddy?
I have one of my favorites where she just walks in on them and goes, "I don't want to live in a house of lies." And there's also, of course, like a Jessism that I love when she says, "You've all thought about me while self-completing." Self-completing is just up there with all. It's
She
probably
also
my favorite Jessism.
Have you got the rest of that line as well, though?
No, I didn't write it
She
down.
follows it up with, "So I'm going to wear my winter clothes until I can deal with that face."
It's so good.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, no, I'm in the same vein. I thought it was a great episode from Jess, very strong. And like I said, I've had a few really good, strong episodes from her in the last 3 episodes. She's been absolutely killing it. I think the line that I had that I don't know if I heard anyone say there is just is it weird that he wants me to talk in a deep voice and call myself Kevin?
Yeah. I did write that down on purpose.
It's so good. My mind immediately went to Kevin Coelho, which would have been hilarious. So just
Oh gosh.
Oh, Ben.
so funny. And I think
That's a Photoshop right there for you.
That is.
I don't know if the world's ready for that one.
I don't know either.
Let us know in the comments. I'm sure the answers will be no. I do want to talk about one thing because I don't know where it'll quite fit at the moment, but and I think we'll eventually get to the point where we do need to talk about Cece throughout some of these episodes, because obviously as she become more of a main character, we'll probably obviously need to maybe have a segment for her. But I do want to shout out the line. I had to give it a try, Jess. I mean, that was the same hand that was inside Elmo.
Yes.
Yes.
I have
One
that
of
written
the
down.
best
It's a great
lines.
moment.
It might
So
be the best
funny.
line of that episode. I think it's so good.
It probably is the best line of this episode. I love it.
And she's great. Her delivery is always good. I love Cece. She's great. So yeah, that is Jess. So they are those segments we've gone through. But before we get into the next part and our final thoughts, I do want to know our MVP of the episode. So I'm going to kick it off with my good old friend, my buddy, Al Tribesman. Al, who's the MVP, buddy?
This one is a tough one, I think.
Yeah, it is.
I'm torn between Jess and Schmidt, I think.
Wow.
I was going to say a different name entirely as well.
Me too.
Me too.
Oh,
I was like, yes.
exciting.
And then I was like,
Okay, so Jess, because, well, she killed it this episode. And Schmidt because he helped Nick successfully become a douchebag, I guess.
Did he help him?
That's what I
Did he-
have.
Did he ultimately make his life worse, though, by making him a douchebag?
He did, but that's what Nick wanted. So
It's part of his journey. He had to happen.
I
Absolutely.
think that's what Nick thinks he wanted. You know, he really wants.
It's
to,
like
you know.
that mission accomplished sign that George W. Bush held up. Mission accomplished. Yeah. It's
Oh, good
all
old
good.
GW.
Welcome to
Douche.
the RP podcast, where we talk about the official political. Oh, I love it. Nice. So you're gonna lock in Jess?
What was that?
You're gonna lock in Jess?
Who's your choice?
I think Jess, yeah, for sure.
Nice. Oh, good. And Emma, what do you think about the MVP? Who's your All-American hero this episode?
I was going to say Jess because she has some hilarious moments and she's just so innately Jess. She's so bubbly and quirky all through the episode. But for me, I think it has to be Winston. He has, for me, the best moment of the episode when he delivers that speech. He brings sanity to the group, and he does it in such a cool way. And he has other little moments in the episode, like he's the guy who pays the people who are holding up the finish line for the race. He pays them $10 to keep the sign there. Like he cares about his friends. And for me, like this episode sums up that although he's the quirkiest guy in the group by far, he owns it and he gets them and he wants the best for them. So for me, it's Winston. But it was a really tough call.
Nice. Love it. And Erica, what about you? Who's the MVP?
So I wanted to talk about Cece for a second before I talk about my MVP pick, just because you did bring up that one line from her, which is fantastic. I also had it written down, but also I like this line. All right, you want to go? This New Year's, I wasn't at my parents' house. I was down in St. Bart's with a guy that might be an arms dealer, and my feet aren't whiter than yours. I just told you that to make you feel better. And when we were 10 years old, I went to the movie My Girl with Jessica P before I saw it with you. And I own a motorcycle.
Jessica freaking P.
Jessica freaking P. Yeah. I had to give that line a shout out because it's fantastic. Which brings me to my MVP because I also had it narrowed down to two people, which were Cece and Winston. Cece, just because she really calls Jess out on her shit this episode. Like, Jess judges her hard on a lot of things, which is why Cece doesn't tell her everything, you know? And I love that about Cece. It's why Cece also, again, like I said earlier, Winston's one of my favorite characters in the show. I love Cece because she is that no holds barred, call you out on everything kind of people. And I love it. And she will tell you if you're being judgmental. And again, you know, Jess judges her literally like whenever she says stuff, you know, even whenever she goes to try to run with her, she's like, oh, hey, model. You know, you can tell she kind of has that snarkiness and just because she's pissed off because Cece and Schmidt are sleeping together. But I'm going with Winston because the whole Theodore K. Mullins and the I'm going to eat my cereal, Saturdays are for sleeping speech, that whole part of it is just that's what seals the deal for me. And I'm going with Winston for this episode.
Nice. Yeah, I was very much the same. It was almost like a roller coaster for me between, you know, 1 minute it would be Jess, next Winston, next Cece. They all had such strong episodes, and obviously even just Nick, some hilarious lines.
Nobody had Schmidt. Nobody considered Schmidt. No, okay.
It's a strong episode for him, but I feel like he's
had a good episode.
Yeah, it's really hard, but I feel like Schmidt's douchebag really comes out in other, like so many moments in this episode that it's just like it's what Schmidt does. It's his stick. Whereas I feel like Winston in that moment is just so out of character for him up until that point. Is what makes it like a special moment for me.
Oh, I agree. I'm on your side now. Like you've convinced me that Winston is MVP, but I was just
easy
surprised.
to win over for MVP. Usually.
Sometimes, maybe, yeah. Sometimes, yeah.
1 and 4. So I'm going to go with Winston for pretty much the same reasons that you've both already talked about, but I think we really need to give him some love this episode as well, specifically just because, like I said, it has been a bit of a rough ride, I feel, for him. I know we've talked about it previously, but with him coming a little bit late into the season, you know, and them just having to kind of speed up the development of his character. And I feel like that sometimes they don't really know what to do with him, but I feel like now is when we actually start to see, the real Winston character come out. And some incredible lines, great delivery. So yeah, I just thought it was a really strong episode all in all for him. And yeah, just the whole through line, like you couldn't have put it better, Emmett, but just the fact that he really cares about his, his flatmates, and yeah, really, really strong episode from Winston. So yeah, I'm going to put Winston as well. So that makes Winston our MVP of this episode. Congratulations, Winston.
Woo.
Is this the first time Winston has been our MVP?
I think in general
I
consensus.
think he was,
yes.
or was he MVP in one of the earlier ones? He might have been MVP in one of the earlier ones too.
I have
It's
no-
definitely
We
one
need to
where
start
scored
writing
it.
this down.
We do.
We need a
With
scoreboard.
it.
We do
The
need a scoreboard,
scoreboard.
kind of like our guests.
Yes.
Let's just show those. I don't think we had any guests this week, though, did we? Did we have any guests this week?
I mean, there is the models. I don't think they're worth putting on yet, though.
I was going to
Models.
say that Holly, who is the second girl Nick brings back, has a great line where she says, "It's my favorite scarf because it's a circle, so you don't have to
Yeah.
think about which side goes on the right and which side goes on the left." Which I think
That
is
is a
great line.
fantastic line. That's a great line. But I don't think we have anybody to add this week, though. So, but here's our lineup, just for reminders for next
Got
week. If we
Julia
have
number
somebody
1.
then.
Russell number 2, Genslinger number 3, Remy and Dirk, the degree collector, number 4. With a tie, we've got Sadie at 5. We've got Glasses Kid at number 6. We've got Crazy Principal Lady at number 7. Cliff the Little Intern at 8. We've got Coin Slot Kid at number 9. Green Arrow's Tongue at number 10, and Shelby 11. And we've just got Olive now. Little Olive at number 12.
It's just Olive.
We should probably
love it.
give a mention to Nadia as well, who just in the start of the episode is shouting "Jew in the couch," right?
Jew in the couch.
Jew
It's
in the
such a
couch,
lot.
Jew in the couch. And then
And
when
then-
Cece calls her out, and she's like, "Nadia, manners." Nadia's
Yeah.
like, "Jew person in the couch."
And then Schmidt's just like, what? It's true.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Schmidt says she's not wrong.
She's not wrong. Exactly. Yes, I do love that Nadia's version of manners is adding the word person, which is very, that's
She's
very
learning.
kind. I do. She has some great moments in future episodes, and I'm excited to add her to the list eventually because she will make it there once she has more than 4 words in an episode. But yeah, Jew person in the couch is not enough to put her on there quite yet, I don't think. So
No.
soon.
Alrighty. So now we're going to head over to Hey Girl, What You Doing? So, Hey Girl, What You Doing, Emmett? What are you up to,
I'm
buddy?
in the middle of celebrating Pokemon's 25th anniversary and doing
Which
all
is
sorts of
today.
exciting. Yeah, it is, and getting ready for the Post Malone concert in a few hours' time.
Love it. That's going to be awesome.
Nice.
Exciting.
Is that
Nice.
Black? Pokemon Black? Yes. It's probably the only one I haven't played.
It's been so long, but I still have my copy. That's all that matters.
Awesome.
There go all my D&D dice on the floor.
That's what happens.
That is what
Pretty
happens.
much.
That's exactly what happens. All right, now let's go to our final thoughts and review of the episode. So, I want to know from our special guest, Emma, what did you think overall, and how many Schmitties are you giving this episode out of 10?
I really wanted to give this episode. I love this episode. It's so much fun all the way through, and they don't shy away from making Jess mad at Cece, which is nice. It's a nice moment they have between them. I think I'm going to go 9 Schmitties. I think I'm going to go 9.
Nice.
I'm not a huge fan of Nick's attitude in the episode. I feel like I like him more when he's genuine with and he's real with his emotions. But this is a journey he's going through, and I think that makes it more special when we get there. But I think for me, it's a 9 out of 10.
Nice. Love it. All good. And Al, what do you think, buddy, overall this episode?
I like it a lot. I think I'm gonna go with maybe an 8.5 Schmitties. It's a great episode all around. It's fun. I mean, there have been stronger episodes, but this one's a lot of fun. I
Awesome.
don't have much else to say about that.
That's all right. No, I feel like we've done a good job of talking about it right the way through. So that's all good. And Erica, what did you think? What are your final thoughts?
I enjoyed this episode a lot. I'm going to give it an 8. I do agree with a lot of what we said about the A and B storyline on how they kind of go together. Even, we have the whole Schmidt and Cece and just being mad storyline, and then we have Schmidt teaching Nick to be a douchebag, which it all really ties together super well. Which even, leads into Nick still trying to get over Julia because that was really hard on him. And it even, again, ties into the last episode of, Dirk getting him to sleep with 20-year-olds. We see that kind of continue into this episode. So it's nice to get a little fluidity throughout previous episodes, even into these B storylines a bit, which I think is pretty cool.
He must have been hurting pretty bad to ask for help from Schmidt,
Right. Yeah, that's got to be pretty significant.
And you bring up a good point, Erica. Talk about a two-parter. This could have been the second part to last episode instead of having that be Fancy Man 2.
There's a much bigger connection between these two than the last one.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot bigger connection between last episode and this episode compared to Fancy Man Part 1 and Fancy Man Part 2. And that's just with the B storylines, not even with the A storylines.
Right.
But I love this episode again, and I think like we've all said, this is where we really start to get into more of the deeper end of stuff. This is when it starts getting good. And granted, we're getting close to the end of season 1. What we're on episode 19. We have 24 episodes in this season, and then we get to go to season 2, which is going to be so much fun. But we finally are starting to get really into things, and I love it. So I'm excited.
Nice. And how many Schmitties are we giving it?
I'm giving it 8. 8 Schmitties.
Nice. Cool. I'm actually going to go in between both of you. I'm going to go 8.25. I feel like it was a good episode, but I actually want to give it a little bit more maybe than I would, just because, like you mentioned, the balance of the A and B storyline's great. We get some great moments. I love the Nick back sweat, just everything around all that.
So much good stuff.
And like especially that nice sort of sweet moment at the end with Cece, Jess, and Schmidt obviously in the kitchen, and the sweet moment between Jess and Cece during the 10K. There's some really good, strong moments that sort of stand out, and there weren't really any huge lows I felt throughout this episode. So I feel like it was actually a pretty good one. So yeah, I'm going to go 8.25 Schmitties out of 10.
I also just realized you're absolutely right, Erica. Again, I'm going to repeat the same thing. It's just these two episodes could have been the perfect two-parter for this season, because both storylines are just like big enough to have like a double episode sort of thing going.
Especially with the Cece and Schmidt like through line, right? Like we get the fact that they get caught, and then that comes out here, and then we get Jess finding out about it. Like they definitely have so much more in common than the previous ones.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Love it. Well, that's what we thought of this episode. Let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments. All right. So now we need to talk about Jake Watch. Now, has anyone heard anything from Jake?
Nope.
I have not. Not yet.
Oh. Emma, have you heard anything from Jake?
I'm sorry, I haven't.
Oh, dude. Have you got any connections?
I can search the network. I will do everything in my power.
Remember, if you're watching, Jake it off, okay? Jake it off. Jake it off.
Oh no.
Make sure you use the hashtag let Jake know. Maybe use that instead. Okay, but
yeah, don't use hashtag Jake it off, please.
That's the douchebag jar, right?
Yep. That is exactly. You got it right. 100%.
Well, use whatever you feel comfortable using, But let's get Jake on the show. Let's ask him nicely. Let's just see if we can get him on here. So hopefully one day it'll happen. But yeah, at the moment, unfortunately, no update on that. So just remember, Jake it off and hashtag let Jake know. Okay. All right, now we want to hear about the fun new Patreon stuff, Erica. Can you tell us about Patreon and how that's working?
Hey, Patreon is super cool and awesome. And if you so choose to go check it out, it's at patreon.com/official_unofficial_pod. And we have a couple different tiers that you can subscribe to. You can get cool things like Patreon shoutouts at the end of episodes. Patreon shoutouts for this month are...
We have the one, the only, Kesselwinks. We also have the amazing Mr. Mac. And we have McKenna. Shout out to you amazing people. Now, Erica, where can people find these incredible people doing amazing things?
You can find Kesselwinks at Kesselwinks on Twitch and Twitter, Mr. Mac92 on Twitch and Twitter at the same name, and McKenna you can find at PotterPants212 on Twitter, and find her awesome work on Patch Notes over at YouTube and on podcast services.
Now, I hear with Patch Notes that it sounds like it's all the gaming news just in one short, concise video. Is that correct?
Absolutely is. It's definitely great, and you should all check it out.
Love it. Well, thank you to all you amazing, beautiful Patreon people. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you for all the incredible support. We love you so much.
Thanks, guys. So, hey, if you'd like to support us there so we can keep doing super cool things, drop us some dollars over there if you'd like. But if not, don't feel like you need to. Just the more fun, important things are subscribing and hitting like buttons and leaving comments and all those fun things. So we appreciate those all the time.
Absolutely. And remember, it's a huge help if you can subscribe to the channel. If you're around at your grandma's house helping her out with the IT work, Grandma Cheryl, maybe just when you're on her computer, just pop into YouTube, just hit the subscribe button for her, so she gets that nice notification when we go live.
Log into that Gmail email.
Absolutely. If you're on the public libraries computers, just, same thing, just hit that subscribe button. That would mean a lot to us, so that would be fantastic. So that has been it for the official and unofficial New Girl review. But before we head off, I do want to know about, firstly, our special guest, Emmett. Tell us a little bit about where people can find you, what you're up to, Emmett, and
you can find me every Sunday on the Pokeramble podcast, where we talk about Pokemon news and old Pokemon memories from days gone. It really just is two real avid Pokemon fans talking about Pokemon stuff. It's as simple as that, and we have a lot of fun doing it. And hopefully, people who want to come listen and hang out with us will have a good time as well. So you can find us on twitch.tv/KamaleH every Sunday evening, or search your podcast or YouTube service of choice for Pokeramble podcast.
Absolutely. You should actually all go and do that because it's such a good time. So definitely check that out. And seriously, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been absolutely a great time.
It's been a joy. I mean, I think I said to you guys before when I was doing the show, like listening to this is like listening to friends have a chat about a TV show. It's so genuine and so real, and I'm glad I got to be a part of it. It's been a fun way to spend an evening.
You're far too kind. I was just telling the guys that you ended up watching the first season just so you could listen to this.
I'd seen maybe 1 or 2 episodes of New Girl, heard that you guys were doing the podcast, and then blitzed through all the seasons. Didn't want to. Awesome. I was like, I don't want to. I know you guys don't do spoilers, and you're really good about that. But I was like, I want to see it all and feel it all and have the emotions, and then I will come and listen to this, and it'll be like kind of a trip down memory lane where I get to relive the episodes and maybe remember things that I missed, and that's been a really cool way to do it. So. Thank you guys for getting me into the show. I had a lot of fun watching it and a lot of fun listening to you guys.
You'll definitely have to come back on again.
I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. And Erica, where can people find you?
You can find me at Ambelina on Twitch and Twitter, and doing the Optimistic Underdog podcast, which comes out on Mondays, and all that good stuff. Doing all the fun stuff here with the guys.
Nice. And Al, when you're not being hacked, where can people find you?
Al Tribesman on everything. BOUpod.com for this. SimplySassyVids.com for Game Sass, the new game show on Simply Sassy. So lots of cool things to check out.
Awesome. And you can find me at Please Be Excited on Twitter, Twitch, Simply Sassy Vids. And definitely, like Al said, definitely check out Game Sass. That was such a fun time. Just a hilarious game show. So if you're into any kind of game shows, video games, anything like that, it'll definitely check it out. Also,
I don't think I've laughed harder. It was so great.
That's a great review.
It's so good. So good.
And it took a lot of work, so I'm glad that people are enjoying it. So that's awesome. And it's been, I mean, you'll know this, Al, it's been months, and I think we came up with the idea in November, so it's been a long time in the making. So great to see people finally having it out there and enjoying it. So and some great interviews with some awesome people. I think the latest one's Mario Rivera we had go up recently, so definitely check that out. But obviously almost the entire Kind of Funny cast is up there now. We've got the Cool Greg one. We've got obviously just the one for Nick Scarpino. We've got some fun stuff coming up as well. So check it out. Keep it locked to Simply Sassy Vids and the OU pod for more upcoming OU stuff. All right. So that's been it. Thank you so much, everyone, for an amazing show. Love you all. Love all you people. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this episode. And as we've talked about, we are nearing the end of the first season. So we really want to know what you think, what the next chapter of the OU pod should be. So please let us know if you've got any great ideas. Obviously, we've got some things planned, but we would love to know what you think and what you thought of the show so far. So yeah, hit us up in the comments below or hit us up on Twitter. All good. Love you all. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Everything is sticky and it's gross.